Okay, everyone, it's 12 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. As you know, I'm Mac. I help facilitate the weight loss challenge for you all across the state. And today I'm excited because I'm joined by Miss Chelsea. I might say your name wrong. Is it Schoenfelder? How do you
Uh,
pronounce your last name?
yeah, Schoenfelder. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm really excited because Chelsea is here to talk about spring cleaning our diet. So, a little bit about Chelsea. She's passionate about helping others achieve their individual health goals through nutrition and wellness. She actually earned her bachelor's in nutrition from the University of Idaho and has a bachelor's in dietetics from Idaho State. And because she's an overachiever, she also has her master's in public health from Idaho State University. And now she works here at St. Luke's. She's a facilitator for the Complete Health Improvement Program, also known as CHIP, and she helps with, the cooking classes, as well as helps with individual consultations. Um, for people in need. So, Chelsea, thank you for just taking the time to be with us today. I'm excited to see your presentation, and we'll hand it over for you to just take over.
All right. Well, thanks so much, and thanks for inviting me to do this. It was really fun to put together, and one of the reasons I love doing CHIP is because I get to interact with a lot of different people, and so this is fun to get some interaction with some different audience, and also, I love the idea of this presentation for a couple of reasons. One is because I think for a lot of us, we started out the year with health goals, and a lot of those are related to eating. And it's been a couple of months now, so it's a really good time to reassess. And if we've fallen off track for whatever reason, it's a good time to jump back in. And then I think, I personally love spring cleaning my house, and um, I know a lot of people are doing that this time of year, and so why wouldn't we do that with our diet as well? And so um, we're gonna, let's see, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna spend actually quite a few minutes talking about optimizing our environment. So we know that our environment is so important. And so I'm going to spend some time talking about that. And then we'll get into some meal planning, stocking up on the healthy foods, and then I'll give you some examples of the end product. So what does all this look like when we put it all together? And then we'll talk about some other resources. So first, let's just jump right into our talk a little bit about our environment. And I think, this is kind of the reason why we spring clean. I mean, I maybe didn't think about this so much before, but it's so important for us to have a good environment that promotes those healthy habits. And there's been a lot of research done on this, and we know that our environment really is the single biggest driver of our choices and our habits on a daily basis. And I think a lot of times we think, oh, if I just had more motivation. Um, and a lot of times it's really actually not the motivation. Our motivation tends to be overvalued, um, and it's really our environment over time that is the most important thing. So oh, before I'm getting a little ahead of myself. um, so there are lots of environments that we live in, right? So our work environment, our social environment, our family environment, travel. Probably we're not doing as much of that right now. Our mental environment. Um, and so it's important to think about all of these environments and how they affect our behaviors. And today we're going to focus on the home environment and, of course, the kitchen and the pantry and all of those good things. And as we go along, we're going to talk about how do we make that environment better? How can we automate those good decisions. So we want the healthy choice to be the easy choice, right? We want to take a little bit of that, the mental load off of some of these decisions and just make it easier. We're going to talk about how to develop good habits that get in the flow of our normal behaviors. So when it's just easy to get there and fits in with what we're normally doing, we're more likely to succeed. They've done studies on that, and they've actually found that people are more likely to go to the gym when it's literally on their way to work or on their way home. If you have to drive 5 minutes out of the way, you're less likely to go to the gym. So things like that. It's kind of interesting. And then we'll talk about how to reduce the negative influences in our environment. So those obstacles that get in the way of us making healthy choices. We want to reduce that as much as possible. So first is the actual cleaning and clearing out. And so this is a big part of that that environment piece. So, of course, so starting with the pantry, we want to clear the clutter. We want to reduce or eliminate those foods that are going to get in our way of our health goals. And so those are the processed foods, prepackaged snack foods, refined grains, sweets, dessert foods, sugar sweetened beverages, alcohol. I think we all kind of know the things that that can get in our way of our health goals. So reduce or eliminate those. And if you just really cannot bring yourself to throw them away, what I would suggest is to get a bin that you can't see through, and put all those foods in there, and make it as inconvenient as possible to get there. So this is an example of reducing those negative influences in our environment. So we're putting it out of eyesight, or we're making it very inconvenient to get to. So maybe it's up high on a shelf, or maybe it's back in a corner that's hard to get to. So those are a couple of ideas. The next step is making space for the new, healthier foods. So just making sure that you have a little bit of space, maybe investing in some nice pantry bins or storage bins. So that is going to help automate those good decisions. So the canned beans go here, the oats go here. So you're just automating those good decisions. You know where those foods go, and it also looks really pretty. But it makes it inviting. I think when it looks nice and organized, it makes it really inviting. So there's all kinds of storage containers out there. I love going on, anyone has been to the container store online, that's a great place to go. They have a whole kitchen section, or just Amazon is another good place to go. Any kind of a storage container, just to make it more organized. And label the containers too. I think that's really helpful. It makes it really easy to see. Okay, so next comes the fridge and the freezer. So first is clearing out the less healthy options, and using up any leftovers that are in the fridge, clearing out the space, and making room for the new. And with the fridge, I think it's personally, I think it's a really good habit to clean out the fridge. Just plan on cleaning out the fridge before you go to the grocery store. So if you're shopping every week, just before you go to the grocery store, maybe it's when you're writing your list for the grocery store, you're kind of going through the fridge at the same time. So these, it's part of that spring cleaning our diet, but then we can also get into some consistency and doing these things more regularly too. Okay. Also, just sprucing up the kitchen a little bit can make a big difference. So I know I'm one who I have a ton of extra tools in the kitchen that I don't use very often. So minimizing those excess tools, maybe just, making a note of the tools that you use frequently and putting them in the most convenient place. And then clearing out the ones that you don't use. We talked about the investing in the storage containers, but that applies to the kitchen as well. So that picture up here with all of the spacers in the drawer to organize the tools. I know I used to have one big drawer that had all of these tools just in one big space, and it's impossible to find what you need in there. So these little spacers can make a big difference. And then making use of vertical space if you have it too. If you're short on space, this is a really good way, convenient way to store things. Maybe it's cookbooks or whatever it might be. So I put a few of my favorite handy tools here. So maybe now might be a good time to also reassess, do you need anything new? And so these are kind of my go-to basic tools. I love this kitchen sink colander. This is a really good one for washing produce. I use my Instant Pot all the time. We'll talk about a little bit about food prep a little bit later on, but all of these items that are, that make it a little bit easier to prep foods. This is probably my favorite kitchen tool, these herb scissors. It's so easy to add herbs to all kinds of dishes. It's just really simple. You can get those on Amazon. A good knife set, a baking sheet with a silicone mat, so you don't have to use oil if you're roasting vegetables. The silicone mat just makes it non-stick. So that's really nice to have. I love these. They're like vegetable slicers. They have different shapes that they can cut. So you could do like a thin noodle, kind of like from a zucchini, or you can do this julienne cut. So those are really nice to have on hand. A good cutting board. And I'd like to hear from you. Do you guys have favorite tools that you use in the kitchen? You can type in the comments. And I always like to share and hear what other people like to use to make things a little more simple and fast. Air fryer, yes. That is actually one I have not gotten yet. I have so many small appliances, but yeah, everyone I talk to loves their air fryer. Pam says she uses her rice cooker for lots of things. Yes. So if you're not ready to jump in to an Instant Pot, a rice cooker, you can find rice cookers anywhere. They're pretty inexpensive, and they can do actually a lot of things in just a rice cooker. So Candace says a spiralizer. Julie says a chopper. Oh, and Max says, what's the gadget in the sink? This is just a colander. This is it just lays across the sink. And I personally, after I get home from the grocery store, I put a lot of my produce just directly in there, and I run some water, and it's just really easy to just go ahead and wash the produce right when I get home from the grocery store. And then you can just leave it in there and come back to it when you get it. So I usually leave it in there, and then I put all the groceries away, and then I kind of come back to it to prep my produce. Jennifer says, I use my egg slicer to slice eggs, whole olives, whole mushrooms. Yeah, that's great. And strawberries. I never thought of that. That's a good idea. The lettuce spinner. Nice. Thanks for sharing. I like to hear your ideas. Okay. So once you've really got that environment piece down, you've cleared out the clutter, you're kind of starting fresh. I would think about developing a system, some type of system for meal planning. So thinking about your new healthy meals and how you want to, stock your pantry and your fridge. So again, this is something we want to make this a more automated system, right? We want to make it easier, and we want to take some of the mental load out of it, the decision fatigue. Sometimes it just feels like, oh, the week's already over. I have to plan a new week again, and so just making this as easy as possible. So maybe it's trying something like this. This is an online meal planner where it just spits you out options for all of your meals. And the nice thing about these is that you can really customize it. So you can go in and you can put in what kind of kitchen tools you have. You can put in the amount of time that you want. So these ones are pretty quick, super easy. So this is a nice option. There's a lot of them out there. This is actually one that we have through lifestyle medicine that patients of lifestyle medicine can get access to. But there's Forks Over Knives. There's the Blue Zones meal planner. So lots of options out there. The other idea, this is actually one that, I love the meal planner, but this is one thing that I do a little more often. So this is just a simple meal rotation. And so, maybe really your breakfasts are kind of already planned. And so maybe you really only need it for dinner. So you can go through the week and just say, okay, Sunday I'm going to have soup or chili. So you just pick which one. You have the backbone there. And then you just need to fill in the details. So that can, again, take some of the decision fatigue out of this and automate some of these things. And really, most people only really need maybe 10 or so recipes and they're fine with just having 10 or so recipes to kind of rotate through. So, and then you can, swap in a couple in or out depending on the season. Think about your process for meal planning and how you can simplify it. See a couple comments here. Dina says she used Engine 2. Great. Oh, also it's now called Plant Strong. Okay. And Heidi says, is there any concern about eating the same thing for breakfast every day? I have oatmeal with various fruit. I've heard someone say once that it's not good for your body to have the same thing over and over. And I really don't see any concern with having the same breakfast every day, as long as you're happy with it. I mean, if that works for you and you're not getting bored of it, then I don't see any reason for that. I think we do talk about variety, getting in a variety of foods. But if your lunches and dinners are providing you with some variety, then yeah, just stick with the same breakfast if it works for you. I personally have like 2 or 3 breakfasts that I just, I swap in and out. Um, I just kind of mix it up. Those are kind of my 3 go-to breakfasts. So I don't see anything wrong with that. All right. So when I was thinking about this presentation, I was thinking about, okay, if we're getting rid of the less healthy foods, what do we really want to stock up on? What are the foods that when we look at our health goals, we can really get the most bang for our buck? And these were the foods that I was thinking of that can really help us achieve any health goal, whether it's lowering blood pressure, losing weight, lowering cholesterol, or just optimizing our immune system, whatever it is. These are the foods that we should really be eating more of. So when it comes to fruits and vegetables, we all know we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, but specifically berries, dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, mushrooms. And then for whole grains, oats, quinoa, barley. I mean, there's so many options for whole grains. And Tanda asks, what are sorghum and wheat berries? They are whole grains. Sorghum is just a little round grain. It's kind of chewy. Wheat berries, that's actually whole um, the whole wheat plant. So we take wheat berries and we process it um, to make whole wheat flour, things like that. And so these are really good quality grains. They're not processed, and they're really good. We should be trying to include them. If you're not familiar with some of those whole grains, I have a list of cooking classes at the end, and so I have some resources for you at the end. So we'll talk about that. Legumes like beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils, trying to get at least a serving of those in every day. That would be ideal. Nuts, flaxseed, water, green tea, and hibiscus tea. Those are really the healthiest drinks. And Kate asks, why hibiscus tea? And hibiscus tea has actually been shown to lower blood pressure. So I think it's 2 cups a day can help to lower blood pressure. So it's a really good healthy choice, and it's a beautiful color. If you've ever brewed hibiscus tea, it's like this bright pink color, and it's so inviting. It just makes you want to drink it, and it really does taste good. So you can think about, you could kind of work off a list like this if you're just maybe trying 1 or 2 of these. Can I start including 1 or 2 every day and just kind of get into a habit of including these in? And then you can start slow. If these are kind of new to you, you can start slow and just work your way up. I really like a kind of a shopping list like this, that again, it takes some of the thinking out of it. All of these things are here. So when you're planning your meals, you can, go through your pantry and look and say, oh, I'm out of quinoa. I know I'm planning quinoa for this week. Okay, I'm gonna just highlight that one, and I'm gonna grab some at the store. If you're wanting to include more variety with vegetables, idea. Bank is a good one. So also thinking about what is coming in season. Right now is a good time for asparagus. So thinking about those things and trying to include different ones. So more options here. This really includes all of the basics. A lot of these things are just excellent things to stock your pantry with. Okay. We talked a little bit about food storage, but I think the biggest thing here is after you shop is to be sure to plan some time to do a little bit of prep. So you don't have to, be preparing a full meal, but could you prepare even parts of the meal in advance to make it a little bit easier? So like I mentioned, I just throw all my produce in my sink colander when I get home from the store, and then I'm washing it and I come back to it to chop it. And that way it's not sitting in the fridge for a couple of days before I can get back to it to prep it. Grains are really easy to throw in the Instant Pot or the rice cooker. Make a big batch of them, freeze them. Same with beans. Some people like to have like a big chunk, like a 2-hour chunk or whatever it might be on a Sunday to meal prep. I personally find it easier to just do little bits and pieces throughout the week. So maybe it's, Wednesday and I know I'm doing lentil tacos on Friday for dinner. I might, go ahead and cook up the lentils on Wednesday so they're ready for Friday. So that's how I personally do it. I break it up into small chunks. Candace says, could you explain if you freeze cooked grains, how do you heat them up to serve? That's a great question. Yeah. So they're really easy to just pull out of the freezer. I usually try to give it a day or two in advance. I pull them out of the freezer and just put them in the fridge for a couple of days to allow them to unthaw. And then sometimes I'll just put them in a pan and heat them up in a pan. That's a really easy thing to do. Or you could just put it in a bowl and put it in the microwave and heat them up, depending on how you're using them. Or you could, if you didn't unthaw them in advance, you could just like soak the bag or the container in some warm water if you're going to heat them up right away. Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. So I wanted to kind of bring this all together, put it into practice, and really see what this looks like. So that list of the those foods that I was talking about, trying to include every day, I included each of those into one of these recipes. So for breakfast, a green smoothie. I mentioned leafy greens. This is a smoothie is a great way to get those greens in. You could use flaxseed in the smoothie as well. I love this hash brown and veggie breakfast bowl. This is one of my go-tos if I have a little extra time. This would be like a weekend meal that I would do. And I like to make a big batch of it, and then I can have some for later in the week too. That's okay. I know you. Some of you may have to jump off. It's totally fine. Lunch, I think, is a perfect time to use leftovers. One automated thing to do is just get into a habit of when you're cleaning up dinner and you have leftover dinner, just put it in a container and then your lunch is packed up and ready to go for the next day. And that's you can really make that an automated system so you don't feel like you're doing double the work. I love this no tuna salad for a lunch option. This is something you can make up in advance. It's made with chickpeas, and I like to put it on toast with lots of veggies. It makes for a really, really pretty simple lunch. Some dinner options. Sheet pan fajitas. I love sheet pan dinners that you just throw it all in the pan. There's even a whole grain millet. You just put it right in the oven. You put a little bit of vegetable broth on the pan and bake it up. This one I would make a ton extra, and I would probably, definitely take this for lunch. This would be an excellent one. Quick white bean and tomato pasta. This is one, I love this one because it uses canned beans and frozen vegetables. So if you're short on time for dinner, this is a great one. Really simple, uses things that you probably have on hand. Snacks, some easy snacks, nuts and berries. That's a great one. I love this Skinny Pop popcorn. I keep bags at lunch or bags at work so that I can just pop it up if I need a snack. And dried fruit. Those are really easy things to keep at work or keep in the pantry. All right. So I had mentioned I had some resources. The Lifestyle Medicine Clinic has a ton of virtual classes, which some of you may already know about these. There are a lot of nutrition-focused classes. The cooking classes, there's a series of 4. There's an intro class that they do sauces and flavorings. There's a grains class, a beans class, and a veggies class. This Nutrition Tips for Success, this class has more on the environment, more on the setting up your environment for success. So if you like that idea, that would be a great one. And then there's some other ones too: emotional eating, joy of movement, lots of options. And you can actually go on the St. Luke's website and just search lifestyle medicine classes, and there's a whole list of them on there. So I know we're over time, but I'd love to stick around and answer questions if you have any. Thanks for joining.
That was great, Chelsea. I just put the link to those classes in the chat box for everyone. So if you are interested in any of those classes Chelsea mentioned, check that site out because there's some pretty great ones out there.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And Mac, would you be able to email out the slides so that people have access to the recipes?
Yes, I'll include those in the health tip next Tuesday as well. So check Carium next Tuesday, and I'll include the slide deck for everyone and the recording as well. So that was fantastic. We're happy to answer any questions if anybody has those. Big thank yous coming through, which is great.
Thanks for joining, and enjoy the little bit of sunshine and the spring day we're having.
Yeah. Yes, the pantry purge is like the best. It feels so good when you can get your pantry organized and just beautiful along with your fridge. So big challenge for you all. Can be overwhelming sometimes, but when you do it, it feels so good.
Yes. Roma said tweaking list for a diabetic person. Actually, all of those foods, I wouldn't say to avoid any of those foods for someone who has diabetes. All of those actually can benefit blood sugars because they're so high in fiber. The one thing I would just say is, just be careful with the portion size. A good rule of thumb is half of your plate is veggies, a quarter protein, and a quarter is a grain or a fruit at every meal. So that would be the only thing, is just not to go overboard on the serving sizes.
Kate, Chelsea and I can follow up with you on that question. Or it looks like she lost her chip cookbook and is looking for one of the recipes. Chelsea, can we get that to her?
Yeah, is it the tofu scramble wrap? But yeah, I can grab it.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
I love that recipe, Kate. So yummy. Great. Okay, you guys, well, if there's no other questions, we'll end the webinar for today. I appreciate you all taking the time to attend. And again, thank you, Chelsea, so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.